For decades, mafia bosses have dominated the criminal underworld, orchestrating illicit activities that captivated the public imagination. But what happens when the torch of power is passed down to the next generation? Join us as we tell you what happened to mafia bosses' sons as they took after their father's legacy, carrying on the family business of organized crime. Angelo and Franchesco Provenzano. Angelo and Franchesco Provenzano are the sons of the infamous Sicilian mafia boss Bernardo Provenzano. Bernardo Provenzano, the notorious Italian mobster and head of the Sicilian mafia clan Corleonesi, left an enduring mark on the criminal underworld. As the de facto boss of bosses, his involvement in heinous crimes, including the ambush and murder of Michele Navarra, showcased the ruthlessness that characterized his reign. Provenzano's criminal enterprises reached their peak in the late 1960s, marked by his participation in the Viale Lazio massacre. His strategic cunning and ability to evade authorities made him a formidable figure in the mafia landscape. When Bernardo Provenzano was captured in 1993, the mantle of leadership fell on his shoulders. The maxi trial of the mid-1980s had sentenced Provenzano to life imprisonment, along with fellow mobsters Rina and Bagarella, for ordering multiple murders, including the infamous Capaci and Via D'Amelio massacres. Provenzano's two sons, Francesco Paolo Provenzano and Angelo Provenzano, suddenly found themselves at the epicenter of a complex and dangerous legacy. Angelo Provenzano, the elder son, took on the role of a tour guide in Palermo, delving into the history of the Sicilian mafia. In an emotional appeal, he lamented the constant surveillance and media pressure, describing their lives as akin to living in a reality show. Angelo's plea for the right to live a normal life reflected the challenges faced by the Provenzano family, emphasizing the intrusive nature of police scrutiny and media intrusion. Francesco Paolo, the younger son, pursued academic achievements, graduating in 2005 with a doctorate in modern languages and cultures. However, his aspirations were thwarted by legal restrictions, with activities labeled as products of money laundering. His frustration at being unable to lead a normal life outside the shadow of his father's legacy paints a poignant picture of the challenges faced by the sons of a mafia boss. Both Angelo and Francesco Paolo revealed the profound impact of their father's criminal life on their own existence. Born and brought up in captivity, Angelo expressed the difficulties of integrating into society after their return to Corleone in 1992. The constant surveillance and monitoring of every aspect of their lives added to the challenges they faced. Despite their attempts to assert their individual identities, the sons found themselves perpetually under the watchful eyes of authorities, struggling to break free from the pervasive influence of Cosa Nostra. Michael Franzese. Next, we have Michael Franzese, the son of mafia boss Sonny Franzese. Born into a world of violence and corruption, Michael's path seemed destined for a life of crime. And indeed, he would become one of the most notorious figures in the history of the American mafia. Michael Franzese's journey into the world of organized crime began at a young age. Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, he witnessed firsthand the power and influence his father, Sonny Franzese, held as an underboss in the Colombo crime family. But it wasn't until later that Michael would fully embrace his family's criminal legacy. In the mid-1970s, Michael Franzese was inducted as a made man in the Colombo crime family. With his father's guidance and the allure of wealth and power, he quickly climbed the ranks, becoming a trusted member of the organization. But it was in the 1980s that Michael's criminal activities would reach unprecedented heights. Partnering with the Russian mafia, Michael Franzese devised a scheme that would make him incredibly wealthy, a scheme to defraud the government out of gasoline taxes. Setting up companies in Panama, he orchestrated a complex operation that would supply a significant portion of the gasoline sold in the New York metropolitan area. The operation was nothing short of audacious. Michael and his associates manipulated the system, evading taxes and reaping massive profits. At the height of his criminal career, Michael Franzese was generating up to $8 million per week. The sheer scale of his operation was mind-boggling, and the money flowed in like a never-ending river. Michael Franzese's rise to wealth and power seemed unstoppable. He lived a life of excess, with luxurious homes, expensive cars, and a seemingly endless supply of money. But little did he know that the walls were closing in. In a stunning turn of events, Michael Franzese was arrested on conspiracy charges related to his involvement in the gasoline bootlegging scheme. The authorities have finally caught up with the notorious mobster. In 1986, Michael Franzese's criminal empire came crashing down. He was sentenced to prison, facing the consequences of his actions. It seemed like the end of the road for the notorious mobster, but little did anyone know that this would be the turning point in Michael's life. After serving his time behind behind bars, Michael Franchesco emerged with a newfound perspective on life. He had experienced the consequences of his actions and was determined to make a change. Little did he know that this would be the beginning of a remarkable transformation. Michael Franchesco's journey of redemption took an unexpected turn as he embarked on a new path, that of a motivational speaker. He realized that his story of crime, consequences, and ultimately redemption had the power to inspire others to make positive changes in their own lives. Michael Franchesco's impact extended beyond his motivational speeches. He also channeled his experiences into writing, penning several books that delve into his life of crime, his time in prison, and his journey of transformation. Michael's books quickly gained recognition, resonating with readers who were captivated by his story of redemption. His words offered hope, guidance, and a stark reminder of the dangers of organized crime. Michael's transformation caught the attention of the media, leading to numerous interviews and appearances on television shows and documentaries. His story of redemption and his ability to connect with audiences made him a sought-after guest. In recent years, Michael Franchesco has embraced the digital age, launching his own YouTube channel. On his channel, he continues to tell captivating stories, interview people from various walks of life, and review Mafia-related media. Through his YouTube channel, Michael reaches a wider audience, sharing his insights, experiences, and lessons learned. He has created a platform where he can connect with his viewers on a more personal level, offering guidance and inspiration. Alfons Perso. Next is Alfons Perso, the son of notorious Mafia boss Carmine Persico. As the son of Carmine Persico, a former boss of the Colombo family, Alfons was destined to be immersed in the world of crime. He had two brothers, Lawrence and Michael Persico, but it was Alfons who would make a name for himself within the family. To distinguish him from his father's older brother, who shared the same name, Alfons was nicknamed Little Alley Boy. Alfons Persico initially showed academic promise, graduating from high school and being accepted into St. John's University School of Law. However, he chose to quit college in his sophomore year, opting to join his father in the family's criminal enterprises. In his early 20s, Alfons became a soldier in his father's Colombo crime family, quickly rising through the ranks to become a capo. Despite a brief setback with a 1983 arrest for heroin possession, the case was dismissed, allowing him to continue his criminal ascent. The pivotal moment occurred in 1987 when his father, Carmine Persico, was sentenced to 139 years in prison. Carmine named Alfons as the acting boss, intending him to take over upon his nephew's release. However, Victor Orena, a capo, sought to become the boss independently, leading to a violent war within the Colombo family. Despite being incarcerated, Alfons directed the campaign against Orena, resulting in a series of violent clashes and retaliatory attacks. The war culminated in the 1993 indictments of Alfons and other family leaders on racketeering charges, including murders. Orena and his followers were imprisoned, leaving Carmine Persico in control. Amid personal turmoil, including a divorce filing in 1993, Alfons found legal success when acquitted of federal racketeering and murder charges in 1994. Exploiting revelations about Colombo capo Gregory Scarpa's ties to the FBI played a role in the case's dismissal. In the following years, Alfons spent time in Florida, while his father appointed Andrew Russo as acting boss. When Russo went to prison in 1996, Alfons seized the opportunity, assuming the role of acting boss of the Colombo crime family. Little did Alfons know that his second stint as acting boss would be short-lived. During this period, Alfons allegedly ordered the murder of his underboss, William Cutolo, in May 1999. Speculations about the motive varied, with some suggesting revenge for Cutolo's support of Victor Orena during a rebellion, while others believed it was to prevent Cutolo from seizing control in Alfons's absence. Cutolo's disappearance on May 26, 1999, reported by his wife Marguerite, unfolded as Alfons Persico summoned him to a park in Brooklyn. Instead of meeting Alfons, Cutolo encountered Colombo hitmen Thomas Gioeli, Dino Calabro, and Dino Saracino. They allegedly took Cutolo to Saracino's apartment, where they carried out the gruesome murder. Cutolo's body was disposed of in a field in Farmingdale, New York, with the location remaining a mystery until its discovery in October 2008. The Cutolo murder sent shockwaves through the Colombo crime family, emphasizing the ruthlessness of mafia operations. Alfons Persico's alleged involvement further solidified his dangerous reputation within the family. The murder had profound consequences for Alfons, intensifying legal scrutiny. In October 1999, he faced federal racketeering, loan sharking, and bank fraud charges. A search of his Brooklyn apartment uncovered $25,000 in cash, along with records of extensive loan sharking and credit card fraud. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jim Walden prosecuted Persico, leading to a conviction on Florida gun charges in 2000, resulting in an 18-month federal prison sentence. Legal troubles persisted as Alfons faced additional charges upon release. On January 24, 2001, he was indicted on loan sharking charges in New York, suspected of involvement in the Cutolo murder. On December 20, 2001, Persico pleaded guilty to federal racketeering, loan sharking, and money laundering charges, receiving a 13-year prison sentence. The plea forced him to publicly acknowledge his role as acting boss of the Colombo crime family. However, legal battles continued. In October 2004, Persico was indicted for the Cutolo murder, leading to a mistrial in 2006 due to allegations of perjury by Cutolo's wife. The second trial in 2007 resulted in Persico and an associate being convicted of murder and witness tampering. On February 27, 2009, Persico received a life sentence without parole for the Cutolo murder, marking the end of his criminal and powerful life within the Colombo crime family. Raymond Patriarcha Jr. In the seedy underbelly of the criminal world, one name reigned supreme: Raymond L.S. Patriarcha. Known as Il Patrone, he was the formidable boss of the Patriarcha crime family, a notorious Italian-American mafia syndicate that held a tight grip on the cities of Providence, Rhode Island, and Boston, Massachusetts. But behind every powerful crime boss, there is a family, and in this case, it was the Patriarcha family. Raymond Patriarcha Jr., born on February 24, 1945 in Providence, Rhode Island, was inevitably drawn into the criminal world due to his notorious father, Il Patrone. The Patriarcha crime family, operating in Providence and Boston, thrived under Il Patrone's leadership, engaging in various criminal activities. Il Patrone's empire faced challenges, notably his 1970 conviction for murder and conspiracy. Despite imprisonment, he continued to control the crime family, showcasing his cunning influence. Constantly targeted by law enforcement, Il Patrone's reign came to an end with his fatal heart attack on July 11, 1984, at 76. His death triggered a power struggle within the Patriarcha crime family as different mafia factions vied for control, marking a turning point in its history. Next in line was Raymond Patriarcha Jr., who had been groomed by his father to take over the family business. However, his leadership would be tested from the moment he assumed the role of boss. The New England Mafia, which the Patriarcha crime family was a part of, began a period of decline marked by legal prosecution and internal violence. Jerry Angelo, the family's underboss, saw an opportunity to seize power despite being incarcerated. He attempted to take over as boss, the family's top lieutenant. Zanino backed Jr. for the position, and with the support of the Gambino crime family and the approval of the National Commission, Jr.'s ascendancy to leadership was confirmed. However, Jr.'s leadership style was vastly different from his father's. He was considered a weak leader, relying heavily on the support of the Gambino crime family to maintain peace within his ranks. The absence of Zanino, who was sentenced to 30 years in prison in 1987, further weakened Jr.'s position. To make matters worse, William Wild Guy Grasso, known for his ruthlessness, emerged as a powerful figure within the crime family. Some law enforcement officials even believed that Grasso was the one truly in charge. However, these rumors were put to rest when Grasso was brutally murdered in June 1989 by a gangster with ties to the Genovese crime family. Amidst the internal power struggles, the Patriarcha crime family faced a major blow in 1990. Jr., along with underboss Nicholas Bianco and 20 other family members and associates, was indicted on numerous charges, including racketeering, extortion, narcotics, gambling, and murder. The arrests sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld, as it was described as the most sweeping attack ever launched on a single organized crime family. One of the most damaging pieces of evidence presented during the trial was a tape recording of a Mafia induction ceremony. 13 mafiosi were present, and the FBI was able to match Jr.'s voice to the tape due to a radio interview he had participated in. The embarrassment of this revelation led to Jr. being replaced as boss by Nicholas Bianco, who maintained a low profile. In 1991, Bianco was sentenced to 11 years in prison, and 8 other family members were convicted of Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act (RICO) charges. The downfall of the Patriarcha crime family seemed inevitable. Raymond Patriarcha Jr. himself pleaded guilty to racketeering charges and was sentenced to 8 years in prison in 1992. The once mighty Patriarcha crime family had been dealt a severe blow, and its power and influence diminished significantly. Cadillac Frank Saleme took over the family after the trials and moved their base back to Boston. When Jr. was eventually released from prison, he chose to distance himself from organized crime and retired from the dangerous world he once knew. Thomas Gambino. Thomas Gambino, born in 1929, was immersed in the Gambino crime family from a young age, being the son of notorious mob boss Carlo Gambino. His entry into the family business began at Manhattan College, blending education with Mafia connections. In 1962, Thomas married Frances Lucchese, solidifying an alliance between the Gambino and Lucchese families. This strategic partnership, marked by a grand wedding attended by over 1,000 guests, resulted in Thomas gaining control over a portion of Idlewild Airport in collaboration with Tommy Lucchese. Thomas's influence extended to the garment industry after Lucchese's death in 1967, forming the cornerstone of his wealth and power. His strong ties to the Lucchese family enabled him to infiltrate legitimate businesses, consolidating control over the garment district in New York and New Jersey. By the 1990s, Thomas Gambino's success in organized crime manifested in substantial wealth, owning luxurious homes, and contributing to philanthropic endeavors like the Gambino Medical and Science Foundation. Despite this, law enforcement remained vigilant. Following Carlo Gambino's death in 1976, Paul Castellano assumed leadership. Thomas played a crucial role in Castellano's regime, managing family finances and overseeing trucking operations in Manhattan's garment district. Castellano recognized Thomas's business acumen, making him a key figure within the family. In 1981, Thomas was honored as the Man of the Year by the garment industry, showcasing his influence. The Castellano era faced internal strife, reaching a climax with Castellano's controversial choice of Thomas Bilotti as underboss, leading to opposition from John Goody and Frank DeSico. Thomas Gambino's intricate involvement in family affairs continued during Castellano's regime, marked by his financial responsibilities and influence in the garment industry. His ability to navigate both criminal and legitimate spheres solidified his standing within the Gambino crime family. Gotti and DeSico orchestrated a plan to eliminate Castellano and Bilotti, ultimately succeeding in a restaurant ambush at Sparks Steakhouse on December 16, 1985. Thomas Gambino, who was not involved in the conspiracy, arrived at the scene shortly after the killings, only to be turned away by DeSico. This marked a significant turning point in the Gambino crime family, as Gotti emerged as the new boss. Although Thomas Gambino had been a loyalist to Castellano, he quickly pledged his loyalty to Gotti to preserve his position within the family. Recognizing Thomas Gambino's value as a top earner for the family, John Gotti expressed his intent to strengthen Gambino's role within the Mafia during a conversation with mobster George Ramini. In April 1989, legal challenges arose for Thomas Gambino when he faced obstruction of justice charges, accused of lying to a grand jury about racketeering activities. Although indicted, he was acquitted later that year. The legal troubles escalated on October 18, 1990, with new charges of extorting the garment industry. Exploiting their control of trucking companies, the Gambino family charged significantly higher shipping rates than competitors. Wiretapped conversations between Gambino and Castellano highlighted their influence over the garment district. To avoid a lengthy prison term, Thomas Gambino accepted a plea bargain in February 1992, admitting guilt, paying a $12 million restitution, and committing to exit the garment trucking business. In 1991, a more significant legal storm hit when Gambino, along with John Gotti, Salvatore, Sammy the Bull Gravano, and Frank Locascio, faced charges including racketeering, loan sharking, extortion, illegal gambling, and 11 counts of murder. Gravano's decision to become a government witness increased the pressure. In May 1993, Thomas Gambino was convicted of racketeering and racketeering conspiracy, accused of overseeing illegal gambling and loan sharking in Connecticut since 1985. He began serving a 5-year prison sentence in January 1996. Released on May 10, 2000, Thomas Gambino later filed fraud charges against his stockbroker, Muhammad Ali Khan, while still incarcerated. His complex life, entwined with legal battles and criminal activities, came to an end on October 3, 2023, at the age of 94. Frank Calabrese Jr. Frank Calabrese Jr., the son of Mafia boss Frank Calabrese Sr., was destined for a life he didn't want. Growing up in a heavily Italian and Mafia-frequented neighborhood, Calabrese Jr. was surrounded by the secretive and dangerous world of organized crime. His father's involvement in the outfit, one of America's biggest Mafia families, shaped his upbringing and led him down a path he never imagined. But Calabrese Jr. had a different vision for his life. In a shocking turn of events, he made the decision to betray his own father and become an FBI informant. This decision would not only change change his life forever, but also lead to one of the most significant mob prosecutions in American history. Growing up in the heavily Italian neighborhood of Elmwood Park, Frank Jr. was the eldest son of Frank Calabra Sr., a feared and brutal figure in the Chicago mob. Shielded from the true nature of his father's activities, Frank Jr. believed he belonged to a normal family until Hollywood, particularly movies like The Godfather, revealed the harsh reality. As he got older, Frank Jr. was gradually drawn into the family business. His initiation involved small tasks, escalating to more significant roles in racketeering and gambling. The sinister undertakings of the Calabrese family, including murder and extortion, became part of Frank Jr.'s daily life. However, a turning point came when he was 26 and faced his first invitation to participate in a gangland murder. Though willing, he was persuaded by his uncle Nick to reconsider, saving him from crossing a point of no return. Frank Jr.'s relationship with his father became strained as the elder Calabrese grew colder and more brutal. The turning point for Frank Jr. was when he was declared the property of his father after stealing from him. The physical and emotional abuse inflicted by his father pushed Frank Jr. to contemplate escape. The opportunity came in 1998 when both Calabreses were imprisoned. Frank Jr. decided to cooperate with the FBI, becoming an informant and providing crucial information about the Chicago outfit's criminal activities. This decision was fueled by a desire to break free from his father's control and build a new life. Operation Family Secrets, as the FBI named it, culminated in a historic 2007 trial that exposed the outfit's criminal empire and led to life sentences for Frank Calabrese Sr. and other high-ranking mob bosses. Frank Jr.'s testimony played a pivotal role in securing these convictions. After the trial, Frank Calabrese Jr. chose to leave Chicago and settle in Phoenix, Arizona, seeking a fresh start. He embraced a new life, overcoming cocaine addiction and the challenges of transitioning into mainstream society. Despite his freedom, Frank Jr. acknowledges the perpetual impact of his father on his life, expressing doubts about the possibility of forgiveness and reconciliation. Living under his own name and working as a motivational speaker, Frank Calabrese Jr. reflects on the complexities of his past. While he remains pragmatic about potential threats, he continues to grapple with the emotional aftermath of betraying his father and dismantling the criminal empire that once defined his existence. Salvatore Lashio. Salvatore Lashio, born on July 21, 1958 in the Bronx, New York, grew up in the quiet town of Eastchester. Despite being the son of a notorious Mafia boss, Salvatore managed to avoid any brushes with the law during his youth. His father, Frank Lashio, was a feared caporegime in the New York Gambino crime family, known for his ruthless tactics and unwavering loyalty to the organization. Born into a notorious family led by his father, Frank Lashio, Sal witnessed the inner workings of organized crime from an early age. Salvatore's ties with the Gambino family strengthened through his friendship with John Gotti Jr., the son of the infamous boss, and his close relationship with his father. Despite having attended Westchester Community College briefly, Salvatore's academic pursuits took a back seat as he delved deeper into the family's criminal activities. Recognizing Salvatore's potential, Frank Lashio entrusted him with overseeing various criminal enterprises, solidifying his position within the organization. Salvatore's life reflected a delicate balance between the allure of power in the Mafia and the desire for a semblance of normalcy. In 1998, Salvatore faced legal troubles when arrested for attempting to extort money from Scores, a prominent Manhattan strip club. Opting for a surprising deal, he pleaded guilty to tax evasion related to illegal gambling income. The deal spared him from extortion charges, resulting in a 10-month sentence, including home arrest and a substantial $1.5 million fine. Under house arrest, Salvatore Lashio seized an opportunity in the internet industry, teaming up with Richie Martino to create a massive consumer fraud scheme. They established pornographic websites, offering a free preview that required users to enter credit card information for age verification. Behind the scenes, unauthorized charges of $25 to $75 were made on these accounts. The scheme, assisted by marketer Norman Chains, exploited the phone billing system through a practice known as cramming. They billed unsuspecting customers for unauthorized services, grossing an estimated $500 million. Federal prosecutors took notice as complaints mounted. In 2004, Salvatore and his crew, attempting to relocate to Florida, were arrested. Charged with money laundering and fraud, Salvatore pleaded guilty. After serving 2 years in prison, he was released in 2008, but his criminal empire was dismantled. Gregory Scarpa Jr. In the dark underbelly of organized crime, one name stands out: Gregory Scarpa Jr. Born into a world of violence and corruption, Scarpa Jr.'s early life was anything but ordinary. Scarpa Jr. was born on May 8, 1951, in Brooklyn, New York. His father, Gregory Scarpa Sr., was already a well-known figure in the Mafia, a high-ranking member of the Colombo crime family. Growing up, he was surrounded by the sights and sounds of the mob. Scarpa Jr. chose to follow in his father's footsteps, embracing a criminal career within the Colombo organization. Federal authorities suspected him of being involved in multiple murders, including those of Robert DeLeonardi in 1981, Anthony Frezza in 1985, and Joseph De Domenico in 1987. He was also accused of ordering the murder of Alfred Longobardi in 1981 and plotting the murder of suspected informant Sal Cardacci. In 1986, Scarpa Jr. assumed the role of capo in the Colombo family, succeeding his father after the elder Scarpa contracted HIV/AIDS from a contaminated blood transfusion, imprisonment, and role as an informant. The legal troubles for Scarpa Jr. intensified in 1988 when he was arrested and charged with racketeering and narcotics offenses. Subsequently, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. While incarcerated, Scarpa Jr. found himself in Metropolitan Correctional Center, New York, sharing a cell with terrorist Ramzi Youssef, who was on trial for the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. During this time, Scarpa Jr. made a significant shift by becoming a government informant. He provided information to authorities about Youssef, detailing alleged plans to bomb an airplane or kidnap an American attorney to disrupt Youssef's trial. However, the credibility of Scarpa Jr.'s information was later questioned, with accusations that his tips were a scam. In 2005, Scarpa Jr. tipped off authorities about undiscovered explosives and ammunition at the home of fellow inmate Terry Nichols, who was connected to the Oklahoma City bombing. This tip resulted in a reduction of Scarpa Jr.'s sentence to 30 years. However, the decision was later reversed on appeal, with concerns raised about the legitimacy of his statements in the Youssef case. In November 2020, Gregory Scarpa Jr. was granted compassionate release from prison by Judge Corman. Scarpa Jr. was battling cancer, and the effects of treatment had left him without salivary glands and with a hole in his throat. Given his deteriorating health and terminal illness, he planned to reside with a sister in Florida. Nikki Scarfo Jr. Nicodemo Salvatore Nikki Scarfo Jr., born on June 9, 1965 in Atlantic City, New Jersey, is an American mobster associated with the Lucchese crime family. His life has been marked by organized crime, attempts on his life, and numerous legal entanglements. Nikki Scarfo Jr. was born to Nicodemo Little Nikki Scarfo Sr., a former boss of the Philadelphia crime family. Despite his father's criminal stature, the Scarfos were not affluent during Nikki's upbringing. The family moved to Atlantic City before Nikki Jr.'s birth, and he grew up in the Ducktown section of the city. In the early 1980s, Scarfo Sr. rose to prominence within the Philadelphia mob, bringing wealth to the Scarfo family. Nikki graduated from Holy Spirit High School in 1983, initially showing no inclination toward organized crime. However, after graduation, he allegedly became involved in criminal activities and developed a close friendship with Joseph "Skinny Joey" Merlino, the son of the Scarfo crime family underboss Chucky Merlino. The late 1980s brought legal troubles for the Scarfo family. Scarfo Sr. faced increasing pressure from the FBI, resulting in the conviction of several family members turning state's evidence against him. Scarfo Jr.'s brother Mark attempted suicide in 1988, revealing the toll of the family's legal struggles. On Halloween in 1989, Nikki Scarfo Jr. survived a notorious assassination attempt at an Italian restaurant in Philadelphia. The gunman, wearing a Batman mask, fired at Scarfo, hitting him 8 times but missing vital organs. The motive behind the attack was initially believed to be a power struggle within organized crime. In the aftermath of the hit, Scarfo Jr.'s standing within the Philadelphia crime family diminished. Allegedly, his father arranged for him to be inducted into the Lucchese crime family in the mid-1990s to ensure his safety. Scarfo Jr. eventually became the caporegime of the Lucchese family's Jersey crew. In the early 2000s, Nikki Scarfo Jr. faced various legal issues throughout the years, including arrests for assault and involvement in racketeering. In 1990, he was arrested for racketeering and conspiracy related to illegal video poker machines. He served time in prison and faced additional legal problems upon his release, including assault charges and illegal weapons charges. In the mid-2000s, Scarfo Jr. was implicated in a financial takeover of First Plus Financial Group, leading to embezzlement allegations and federal investigations. The scheme involved millions of dollars and resulted in charges of bank fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. In 2010, Scarfo Jr. faced gambling and racketeering charges in connection connection to an alleged $2 billion international sports betting operation. He pleaded not guilty, but was identified as a capo of the Lucchese crime family. Subsequently, he was indicted in 2011 for his role in an attempt to take over and embezzle millions from First Plus Financial Group. Scarfo Jr. was convicted in 2014 of multiple felonies and sentenced to 30 years in prison. As of the latest available information, Nikki Scarfo Jr. is incarcerated at Fairton FCI in Fairfield Township, New Jersey, with a projected release date of December 2037. This was all about what happened to Mafia bosses' sons. Thank you for staying with us. If you enjoy our content, our newest videos are just a click away.